Hey everyone, Bryan Zayn here with J Biggs, and it's time for our review of Night 2 of WrestleMania 37, Part of the Grind. And Biggs, this felt, a bit different tonight. First off, we didn't have the madness of the rain delay from the night before. Right. So things felt more kind of like, okay, now they're in the groove, and this is kind of how they intended things to go from the beginning.
Right. We even got the pyro for the intro.
We got the pyro, yes. I will miss the promos, though. We're never getting those again. And speaking of something you may never see again, look at this pairing, the dream team of Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan.
That's right, the debuting Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, pirate costumes. It was, I guess, their homage to the scene in Dumb and Dumber when they wear, like, the blue and the orange tuxes or something.
Right.
It was just, I felt like pandering. The best part was the fans were just, like, booing every time Hogan opened his mouth, cheering when Titus talked. And this is Hogan's hometown of Tampa. Like, what kind of a message does that send when the fans are just vociferous saying, we don't want this old racist anymore?
Right. I mean, I'm not sure where it's going to go for Hogan from here at this point. I mean, Saudi shows?
Yeah. There's an appreciation, obviously, for everything in the history. Okay, fine, but it's time to, like, focus on, like, the new stuff, which is so far gone from that era. And it just, it feels incongruous with, like, how you want to try and build toward the future. Right. And so Hogan there, it is awkward enough as it was, and that stuff, the way Hogan was responded to, made it even more so. Tonight's show gets off on a very weird note with Randy Orton versus The Fiend.
Right.
Orton's in white, which is already, things feel weird here. It's like he's the man in white.
He looked like a face, though, an ultra face.
That's basically what the vibe you got here. This moment where Bray, all burnt up and melted, walks through some, like, box or some hallway with fire, and, like, he just kind of morphs and he's, like, healed again. Like, all that, the melty, the crispy Fiend, the attorney at law.
Yeah, that was law school, I guess.
I know, all that dreaming flew out the window when he just turns into a skinny Fiend. And we've got Alexa Bliss coming out with a giant jack-in-the-box. She cranks it open, and
which I was hoping for an ejection like Rey Mysterio on the stage, and then into an RKO.
But the Fiend comes back. He's got a bit of an improved mask, and he's like looks skinnier and everything. Gets the whole entrance.
Oh, we got the red lighting too.
Yeah, bathed in red light, which I thought they got rid of that. I was so mad they brought it back. And it was a match. It was just a match where Fiend doesn't sell anything. And, like, okay, that was a fun story the first time we saw it. Fiend has got it all set up for Sister Abigail. The Kane Pyro comes up, and suddenly we see Alexa Bliss, who's now, like, bleeding black goop off of her crown and looks very spooky. And Fiend is, like, calling out to her, and that's a distraction. Right. RKO. Orton wins and runs away. Well, and then, after that, it gets even weirder because then you've got them, the Fiend looks at Alexa Bliss, the lights cut out, and they disappear. What the fuck?
Right. Because before this event, I couldn't give a shit less if they literally killed Bray Wyatt at the event. But I will tell you right now I'm interested in seeing this next segment. So they carried that on, but I think Orton's off to, like, Bobby Lashley or something.
I think it was just, like, not what anyone could have expected. It seems so anticlimactic. The more I read into it, it feels like, okay, maybe this is Alexa Bliss becoming more powerful, and now she's kind of controlling Bray Wyatt. And, like, I still believe in that theory where she's controlling him now. And that's kind of the vibe I got where... the way Bray looked at her after the match was over, it felt like it was kind of like he's owing her a debt or something.
Right.
Like Alexa's taking the power back after she was possessed and, tortured by Bray or whatever. In that moment, the fans crapped all over it. I'm not willing to, like...
Well, even you were like, by 9 o'clock, we better know something about this.
They showed a recap of it later in the night. It was still shit. No one liked it. There were, like, people booing it in the crowd when they replayed it. It's just that Alexa, for the last, like, 3 or 4 months, has been been spitting out mystery goop. There's the red, and there's now the black of this one. I think there's been green at some point.
The girl's got an infection. She needs to go to the doctor.
She's got something going on there. She really should see. I feel that the doctors at WWE aren't doing their jobs. Oh boy, Biggs. More awkward banter between Hogan and Titus and guests. And then Bayley shows up. Tries to be insert herself.
You got that Bayley, which you were asking for the second night, so that's cool.
I was predicting that was going to be a recurring thread, and I'm glad that became part of the story. And Bischoff is there, too. He's just the way they block it, it's just like he's this third wheel, as Titus and Hogan are the ones talking about, yo, brother, Bianca Belair and Sasha was great, dude.
Right, and he's just trying to get a plug for his podcast.
Yeah, Eric's like telling Bayley, I'd love to have Sasha and Bianca on my podcast as guests, which is weird, because 83 Weeks does not have guests. Women's Tag Team Championship match, Natalya and Tamina, who won the gauntlet the previous night, they're here and they're challenging Nia and Shayna. You get that. You finally got it, Biggs. You got your dream match, Booby. Nia and Tamina finally squaring off. There was a Tamina
at WrestleMania.
Chant. There was a chant for her, and then there was a lot of sloppy fighting, and it didn't look very good. We all kind of dreaded that immediately. And immediately regretted asking for this.
Yes, we did. Yeah, at one point, actually, I mean, it looked like they were really hitting like really hard because Shayna like just knocked Natalya right in her teeth with his knee.
Yeah.
And it looked like she actually maybe was bleeding.
I mean, we thought she was bleeding at first. Or maybe chipped a tooth. I know for the rest of the match, like, it looked like her mouth was just agape the whole time. Like, it was just really unusual.
She was, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I was wondering what that was. Suddenly Shayna has this reputation for just like knocking people's teeth out. It was Asuka, it was Natalya, like who's next? Tamina gets the hot tag and, you know, she goes wild. And like, how bad of a match is this? Or how bad of a performer are you when in a match where Tamina is also in the match, you are the weak link? Because Nia Jax, to me, was that person in this matchup. And, you know, I've tried to defend her a lot or trying to like stick up for her. But this is one of those performances that's kind of hard to defend. There's one point where she's kind of on the second rope and going for that dive, and the camera's on the wrong people, furthermore, for this spot. It's not all her fault, but she is there a while, and there's this moment you just see Natalya and Tamina just kind of selling forever.
It's like,
they're literally doing this.
Come on.
Giving the icky.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, it was disappointing to see that, and so you've got Natalya with the sharpshooter on Nia, and the big struggle for that was kind of a cool story.
It was like Yoko and Brett at WrestleMania 9.
What I think that they're trying to go for. It was very similar vibe. So sharpshooters on Nia, but Shayna puts on the Kirifuda clutch to win, and the champions retain. I thought
I like the finish.
The finish was fine. And there was also a part where it's like, yeah, Tamina looks really good here, and she and Natalya are doing great. But I think overall, this match is probably the weakest in the card. Again, like the women's tag team scene is somehow bringing down the rest of the show. And so when you combine the sour feeling of the first match with Orton and Wyatt, and how this match was really disappointing, all told, like, not a great start to WrestleMania. No, we got like this big positive feeling at the end of night one, and then after an overall pretty good show, a lot of positive things to say about it, and then the first two things they do on this show, after they replay the opening package, same one from the night before, is they do these two matches that are really disappointing.
Yeah, and see, I was really excited to have fans back because I thought everything from like a body slam to a hip toss would get the world's biggest pop.
Yeah,
you know, and it feels like everybody's just kind of back to normal. I
will say though, like, and we're talking about maybe fans could be tired. It's been a long week for everybody. I think that, you know, this was a better idea, and I'm almost starting to believe that a 2-night WrestleMania going forward would work. I used to not believe that, but after the pacing between yesterday and today, it feels better. You know, the matches are paced better. It's like you're not just dead by the end of the night.
I think 8 hours of anything is enough for you to hate it. I mean, it's like a job. It really is.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're tired and you're just like sore after being in there for like 8 or 9 hours of Mania. So the more I think about it after seeing this and just watching it from a viewer perspective, like doing the 2 nights might not be the bad idea. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens up next, and yeah, Logan Paul's there too. Why not? I mean, what's the least he could do?
Give us some good facials.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it.
That was the least he could do. He just sat there every 3 shots and just going whoa every time Kevin or Sami landed on the back of their necks or something. There's a lot of that in tonight, but I loved how in the introductions alone there was this palpable emotion from these two guys where they're all this extra and I was like, yeah, and they're just like doing Sami's doing extra dances and everything. It's like, yes, it is time for this. Like, I was happy for them.
Oh, I know. Well, you didn't get that dive off the ship, which you were predicting for Kevin Owens.
No one dove off the ship. Isn't that disappointing?
Well, I think it's because of how high it actually was.
Come on.
Shane McMahon had to do it or nobody was going to do it.
JBL was on commentary for this one, by the way. He referred to Sami as a modern-day Copernicus, which I believe is the first time Copernicus has ever been mentioned in wrestling commentary.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, good back and forth in this matchup here. Like I said, a lot of bumps where they just absolutely kill each other or look like it, but they've been doing it for years, and they're not dead yet, so they're doing it right, apparently.
Right.
Sami with the Kalula kick goes for a second one. Kevin ducks it and basically hits a stunner to win, and that's pretty much it. Logan Paul comes in. He takes a stunner. Why? Why was Logan Paul even here? Except for like the facial expressions and taking the stunner where he just front flip for whatever the hell reason.
Right. That was it, dude.
Yeah.
Just have a celebrity involved.
Match itself, what did you think of it?
Oh, the match was great. I actually, it might have been my favorite Kevin Owens match ever.
Wow. I mean, I think that it was certainly the best match of what we've seen so far. Like, the quality of the show from here does take a decided upturn after those first two not-so-great matches. This is the turning point.
Okay, so up next, it was kind of cool. It was the meeting of two eras, whether they'll remember it or not. It was RVD and Matt Riddle. A lot of bros back and forth between them.
Where were you the day the earth stood still?
Right. Well, originally it was Great Khali and Rajan Singh or whatever that were.
Oh yeah.
They were talking, and then Riddle showed up, and then RVD interjected and handed them all rolling papers, which I thought was kind of cool.
I mean, they're laying it on thick here, folks. They like the wheat. We get it. And then it's time for Riddle to defend the U.S. title against Sheamus, and this match was great too.
Yeah, it was actually a really good match.
They beat the hell out of each other in this one. It's just more of the same from what we've seen. Scary moment though, because at one point you've got they're on the top rope.
Oh, that's right, when he was going to do the white noise off the top.
Yeah, but he had step over the turnbuckle pad.
He should have been standing on the front of the ropes instead of the back to start that off, and it would have been just fine.
I felt like they may be rushing it, and he's out of position, but he kept it safe. He didn't, it didn't look great. You knew it could have gone better, but at least everyone was safe and didn't get dropped on their head.
Right. It could have gone really bad for Riddle.
Riddle goes for the moonsault, but he gets intercepted in midair with a brogue kick, and that's it. Sheamus wins and becomes the new U.S. champion. Third time he's won it. I love this match, and I especially love the finish. And Biggs, I think that Sheamus on such a roll right now. I mean, the U.S. title, it's you could maybe consider it a consolation prize for not being in the main event picture with Drew and Bobby Lashley right now.
Right.
But I mean, winning the U.S. title and doing it at WrestleMania and having a great match while doing it, it's not a bad trade-off.
It's not match of the night, but it's definitely, I think, second.
Yeah, I mean, after that turning point with Owens and Zayn, all these matches kind of make their own argument for being one of the better matches. There is a clear and distinct winner in all this, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Up next, it's the Intercontinental Championship in a Nigerian drum fight as Big E defends against Apollo Crews, and I thought it was kind of cool that Wale did the opening.
Our boy, man,
performed for Big E.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he had a Wale Mania this year or not, but if he didn't, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was it.
Right, that was his. So big shout out to Wale. But you know what? So I mean that was freaking cool. But the trade off he got the live musical performance on that one. And, of course, Apollo got the AK.
Hey, you know what? That's not a bad trade-off.
Right, and it was the first one, which I mentioned to you last night. I said I'm kind of surprised they didn't do any AK cameras. And this was the first one this deep into the show tonight.
As far as I could tell, remember, I think Apollo's was the first AK.
Right.
It was literally him and Roman Reigns, and I think that's it, which seems very weird and selective. So yeah, it's a street fight is what it is now. It's weapons, and there's
a couple painted drums on the side of the ring.
Yeah. It's a
gong.
It's a drum. Yeah, that's so weird.
A bunch of kendo sticks from Asia.
The Nigerian gong. Everyone knows that. It's the traditional instrument there. Yeah, and it's this drum fight, but they don't ever use the drums as weapons. What a ripoff. Yeah, pretty physical street fight. I mean, they do very well in this matchup here. In the end, you got Apollo going for a frog splash, but he just goes right through the table. Big ending. But then all of a sudden,
I got it. He came out.
Yeah, you called it.
Davocado.
We were wanting Davocado to come out all weekend.
Actually, he's an unknown big man.
Yeah. Dude, he was on Raw for weeks, less than a year ago, and they gave him the "Who is this man?" treatment. This monster who's dressed like, he's dressed like Gaddafi. He's dressed like in this military uniform. What is he doing?
Yeah, that was kind of a weird. I forget what it was that Chris said. He looked like ROTC or something from London, or I'm not sure.
So that allows Apollo to win and become the new Intercontinental Champion. And like I said, he better have won. He damn sure better have won tonight, or that would have been the point of no return.
The end of that, man.
Yeah, even for a drum fight, no use of drums. Bit of false advertising. I'm not sure Apollo's gimmick needed a diesel.
It needed something, like maybe a couple warriors or something. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think that would have been okay. Because like I said, I don't know why. I just get the feeling of the Jinder Mahal gimmick with this. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. There's just something about the aura of how they're doing the gimmick.
Kind of embracing their lineage and their nationality.
Exactly, So, I mean, I could see them, putting a couple warriors with him, much like they did with the Bollywood boys.
The Singh brothers, real warriors, real big strong men for Jinder Mahal.
A couple guys on his back to do the dirty work,
Yeah, it's so
kind of like Seth Rollins and J&J Security.
Yeah, and it's so weird right now that we've got two concurrent angles where somebody's got this big giant, man of mystery at their bodyguard.
Although let me say, I did think about this. How cool was it in catering to see Babatunde or Davocado? Jeez, I don't know why I keep saying it. It's Davocado and the Great Khali and Omos back there in catering. I mean, how cool would that be to see them all hanging out?
That'd be an amazing picture.
Right.
Yeah. And then get Harvey Whippleman to stand right in front of them for scale. Raw Women's title match up next as Asuka defends against Rhea Ripley, who gets the live performance. She gets the This Is My Brutality played live.
It actually sounded good for live.
Okay, well, I disagree on that one.
Well,
Didn't sound great
the
for
music is, to be in all fairness, is kind of like yelling and industrial.
It's new metal. It's just it's the sound of the times, I guess.
Right.
Asuka does.
You sound old.
Yeah, I know, right? Those damn kids.
Right.
Asuka starts out strong at first, but Rhea takes over, gets kind of slappy, gets very physical here. I think that's great about this one. They lay into each other here. DD freaking T off the apron on
to
the
the
floor.
outside. Sheesh.
Yeah, my God in heaven. Rhea ultimately counters Asuka's kick with the Riptide to win clean. She was a bit heelish in this matchup, but I think it was played relatively straight. And the prophecy's fulfilled. You've got Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley as the new women's champions. It's the Cena-Batista moment for WrestleMania here.
Right, absolutely it
Passing of the torch, changing of the guard. What did you think of this match?
I thought it was just fine. I didn't see any problems with it.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Rhea and Bianca as the champions now, the standard bearers. What do you think?
I think they're two great picks. Why not? I mean, we got to go somewhere. We got to create new stars. What else is WrestleMania for, right?
Right. There's a lot of people who are complaining about the champions who lost. You know, Sasha Banks and Asuka. How they
What are you complaining about? Is it the 0-6 thing for Sasha?
Yeah, there's this idea that you have to win at WrestleMania or your career means nothing. And I really disagree with that. Like Asuka and Sasha, they've been winless at WrestleMania, but they've been all these WrestleManias, and they've always put a big star over.
They've done their proper job because that's the way I see it. Because if at WrestleMania your feud culminates to where you have to put over somebody to make them a star, then that's bigger than actually winning a big match.
Yeah, that's a much bigger responsibility than just winning it and like trying to be the star.
Right.
So I think making that person look good. Like think of who Asuka's fought at WrestleMania. Think of who Sasha has fought at WrestleMania, and they all look great now.
Yeah.
So
I could have heard them all.
Yeah, I think that they're kind of in that position as a final boss, and their record speaks for itself. They can win every other night of the week. And, every night of the year, and at Mania, if they lose, they still have all these other things to fall back on.
Right.
So, yeah, I disagree with the whole idea of, they had to win because they were winless. It's not their last ones. They'll have another one, I'm sure. One or two more.
I'm sure they will. WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what? That's another thing. Is that they're trying to extending the WrestleMania season. Not only is it 2 nights of Mania, next month you're going to get WrestleMania Backlash.
Is it like voting now? We don't have election day. We have like election month and election.
It's WrestleMania. It's the year of WrestleMania. We're just going to be having WrestleManias all day long.
Right.
And let's speculate wildly for a second about the crowd situation, because they're going back to the Thunderdome for weeks for TV and stuff right after this.
Are they going to do the pay-per-views, you think, with people maybe? And
I would
do the weekly TVs?
I would love it if they had crowds for the big four, where it's like, every other pay-per-views in the Thunderdome or whatever.
Right.
But the pay-per-views where you could have larger venues and maybe open air. You could do an open air SummerSlam or, other things like that.
Right.
And I think that makes them more special too. In your penultimate segment, to wrap this whole saga up with Bayley and the hosts of the show. First off, you got Titus and Hulk Hogan still on stage, looking as natural and friendly and cordial with each other as ever. Just the best of friends.
That's right, brother.
Thickest of thieves, ebony and ivory. And so Bayley shows up. She wants her pyro. She gets her pyro.
Which is kind of cool.
That's her Mania moment. She gets her pyro, even though she's not wrestling. Easy as payday for her. She wants some respect, and she wants to be known for hosting this thing. And then who comes out to interrupt her, Jay? Is it Becky Lynch, like everyone kind of wanted to happen?
It's not even anybody on the active freaking roster. It's the Bella Twins.
Nope. No Hall of Fame inductees, the Bella Twins. They show up and they beat up Bayley, and they throw her, and she rolls down the ramp for a bit.
But there is a great moment. No, you missed one great moment, because I gotta know, was this scripted or not? I don't know, but she said, "Oh, John Cena's not here."
Right.
And
got her.
Yeah,
got her.
That was like the heat moment right there on her. So I don't know. It
off.
Seemed like kind of like a cheap pop, something that Vince might say in her ear at the last second or something. I don't know.
I mean, John Cena is so 3 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like, it just seems like kind of cliche at this point.
Yeah, they had a poorly timed reference to their own product. That's how that was. So yeah, your final image of this scene here is Hulk Hogan and Titus dancing with the Bella Twins.
Hulk Hogan almost broke a hip.
Is that what everyone wanted? Was that the way everyone wanted that to go? I don't want to knock on it because, it wasn't Becky Lynch like people had kind of hoped it would be. I never want to dog on something because it wasn't what people like fantasy booked it as.
Right.
But I will say, as a segment, it's not great because you just got the Bella Twins getting over on Bayley and making her look like shit. Bayley gets her moment. She gets her time to work WrestleMania. She gets a payday for not wrestling, and she gets pyro for it. So you can't, that's not a bad trade-off, I guess. But the Bellas, it's like that, And in your main event, so the Universal Championship, as Roman Reigns defends against Edge and Daniel Bryan. Speaking of Edge, he probably, of the three of them, got the biggest face reaction. I think he got a bigger one than Daniel Bryan, honestly.
Yeah, which was kind of odd. Maybe it was because of the face gear like Randy Orton had on earlier, the white.
The white and the red or maroon. I don't know.
I mean, are we going to get rated RKO?
Some inexplicable reunion, even after they tried to kill each other last year. That's all going to be, we're going to be...
Right. As the world turns.
I feel it's going to happen at some point. Maybe not tomorrow, but it's going to happen, and it's going to make no sense. Jey Uso, with the quickness, striking Daniel Bryan on Edge, but ultimately Edge lays him out with the DDT on the steps, so he's not really a factor for most of this thing. Most of it is the key word. These guys beat the hell out of each other. This match lived up to its hype.
Dude, it was a WrestleMania main event. Mm-hmm. This is the best feeling. This might sound weird, but this might be the best feeling wrestling match we've had since the pandemic started.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very cathartic. I mean, the story's been brought up about all three guys having these moments taken away from them because of medical reasons and health reasons.
Right.
They're all coming back.
And oh my God, the chair shots on these guys with broken freaking necks.
I know, it's scary. You see, we saw it last year with Edge that he was able to do the concerto and stuff, but it's always a little awkward. And see Daniel Bryan doing the top rope missile drop kick, always kind of scary.
Oh yeah, and he did the headbutt too. I mean,
yeah. Oh man, what about that moment where they're both got Roman in the submission?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, the double crossface.
It was, and oh man, so many meme faces in this match alone with some Roman Reigns making some quality facial expressions.
Right.
That's why he is ahead of the table. It's not just what he does in the ring with his body, it's his face. That's the moneymaker. So Edge spears Bryan and Roman. He goes to the cover, but Daniel pulls the referee out, and Edge snaps. There's the chair shots we talked about. Concerto to Daniel Bryan. He wants to do it to Roman, but Jey Uso finally recovers, gets involved, and that allows Roman to hit the spear in a concerto of his own to Edge. And that's all she wrote. Roman, in emphatic fashion, wins and retains the big blue belt. My God.
Right.
Big main event. Big fight feel. So physical. And what a great story that was told there, too. How did you feel going into it? Were you surprised that Roman won?
No. I mean, that's on my prediction.
You called it, but I mean, the way they got it, they told that story.
I would say the only thing that really surprised me is that Edge took a pin. I really thought they were going to have Daniel Bryan take the pin.
Yeah.
And the double pin at that.
Yeah, that's the other thing we forgot to mention. They stacked them both on top. So they both took the pin.
I mean, yeah, right. So right now there is no one guy out of those two that can really have, I guess it's Cesaro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Got to think of who's on SmackDown right now that would be a viable opponent.
Right.
Who's maybe not ready-made, maybe not next pay-per-view ready. But I don't know. It just seems like Daniel and Edge don't really have a claim anymore. Especially Daniel Bryan.
Maybe it'll be Dan. Maybe they'll find a common ground and team up and take on Uso and.
Well, I also wouldn't
be.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get the one-on-one with Edge and Roman at WrestleMania Backlash. So you can technically say that you had Edge and Roman at WrestleMania, as was originally intended. But yeah, it was definitely a strong way to end the show, and it was definitely the match of the night, no question.
Right.
Well, Jay, that was Night 2, WrestleMania 37. In the books, no weather delays,
right.
But it was not a perfect event, let's just say. I'm not just talking about Stasiak and Palumbo. But
right.
Biggs, what is your grade for Night 2 of Mania 37?
Gosh, I hate to say it. I mean, my favorite match obviously was the main event. I felt like it carried the show. I'm gonna give it a B-, I think. Nice. I think that's probably where I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think B- is mine. I would almost do it's B-, C+. I think the main event kind of put it over the edge for me. It was a weak start to the show. That first 1-2 of Fiend and Orton and the women's tag match just really felt like a wet blanket after kind of the giddiness and the euphoria felt from night 1. Not a great transition. But I think that after that point, the matches did get better. Big title matches and some big wins. And I think that kind of, saved the second night. I don't think it was and maybe also the maybe there's a bit of a bias toward night one, again, because of that first night feeling of live crowd and stuff, and seeing what they're doing. But I think even with that, I still think that the quality of the matches and the stories they told were stronger on night one than we had on night two. Also, I think it's pretty cool that the spotlight that was put on a lot of prominent black wrestlers on this show. You had Amos winning gold, you had Apollo Crews winning gold, Bobby Lashley retained, you got Bianca winning, Sasha Banks, New Day, Big E's there.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just I think it's a really cool step going forward that they're getting their due and they're getting their time here.
Boy, I'm glad it wasn't one night.
Yeah. I tell you what, I think 35 killed it for us.
The time. I would say that it was good to have it back. Obviously, it still didn't feel quite right. I don't know. Am I wrong for thinking that it was weird both nights having the introduction with all the superstars out on the platform? It felt a lot like Wrestle Rock or something like that. I was waiting for them all to start dancing together and singing like a song or something I don't know.
It was was it Hands Across America? Whatever the group was. No, Up With People. I would love to see WWE do a big touring show like Up With People with choreographed dances and big arm choreography. But if I had to combine the two of them overall, I'd say it was a positive WrestleMania. Again, not every show at Mania is perfect, and there are some people who are going to go out and say this is the worst Mania of all time, like people say every year.
Right.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Nothing could be near as bad as last year. I'm sorry.
I got overwhelmingly or overall a positive feeling walking away from WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Splitting into two nights was probably easier for me as a viewer. I would hope it's easier as a spectator live.
Paying for parking twice would suck.
That would suck. It's nice to see, Mania back in with live audience and everything. That was cool to witness, and it gives you some hope and optimism for the next several shows to come in the months to come. What did you think about Mania 37? Which night did you think was stronger, night 1 or night 2? Let us know in the comment section below. For J Biggs, I'm Bryan Zayn. We'll see you next time, and that's been WrestleMania, and we'll do it all again next year, hopefully in Dallas.